tell us what is an attachment relationship.
Okay, well, think of attachment as a kind of bond that holds people together. Except we're talking about an emotional bond with attachment, and the prototype that I think most of us have in mind for this bond is a mother-baby relationship, where the baby is distressed and the mom comes and holds the baby, soothes the baby, and helps the baby feel comfortable and calm down. So that's the essence of an attachment relationship. But I want to emphasize from the start that although we think of moms and babies and children and so forth, we all need attachment relationships throughout life, and that's really what I want to talk about.
Well, then, what purposes does attachment serve?
Okay, well, if we go back a little bit, John Bowlby was the father of attachment theory, and his first thought was that attachment developed in mammals mainly for the protection of offspring. So if the offspring were separated from the mother, they instinctively let out a cry, and the mother instinctively comes to kind of bring them back into the nest, so to speak. So this provides protection and safety. Protection, for example, from predators. Okay, in us humans, attachment serves also this protective function to a degree. I mean, a parent will run after they see their child running toward the street. They're going to grab them and, hold them so that they're safe. But mostly when we think about attachment, we're thinking about it provides a feeling of security. A feeling of safety, and again provides a sense of relief and comfort in the face of distress. There is more recent thinking in attachment theory, though, that's really important, and that is that it's in attachment relationships that's kind of the foundation for social learning. So how we learn about relationships and people.
Can you say more about social learning?
Okay, well, we take for granted that we can understand each other reasonably well. Although, we can't always take it for granted because sometimes we're downright bewildered about, how could he have done that, or how could I have done that? But think that our behavior is based on very complex psychological states, that we have different feelings, we have different beliefs, we have different goals, desires, needs, and so forth. So it's like there's this complicated mental equipment that we have that leads us to act in various ways. And plus, each of us has a complex history that we bring to bear on our actions. So to understand each other requires a long period of learning. And attachment relationships, these early attachment relationships, they're the relationships in which we start to learn about other people, about relationships, and not just about other people, but ourselves, because a lot of what we come to understand about ourselves is based on other people's responses to us. So, for example, the caregiver will signal to the baby or to the child something about what she or he perceives as going on. Or in families, talk about emotions. Well, how were you feeling? Here's what I thought you were feeling. So this is how we learn about not just other people, but actually ourselves. We kind of learn about ourselves from the outside in.
Well, then what makes attachment so important for mental health?
Well, if we go back to the idea that attachment is our fundamental way of coming to feel emotionally secure and safe, I think that's at the core of mental health and a sense of well-being. It's a really interesting experiment done by a psychologist, Jim Cohn, at the University of Virginia, that really stands out in my mind. What he did sounds a little diabolical. Okay, he recruited satisfied married couples, and he brought the couple into the lab, and then he exposed the woman in the couple to electric shocks periodically. So she's in this situation where periodically she's going to be shocked. Now, there's 3 conditions in the experiment. In one condition, she could hold her husband's hand as she was undergoing this threat. On another condition, she could hold the experimenter's hand, a stranger. And then in the third condition, she couldn't hold anyone's hand. Now, they studied patterns of brain activity as she was experiencing this threat. What they found was really interesting. The brain was least active when she was holding her husband's hand. In other words, the brain was generating less emotionally distressing kind of activity. And moreover, when the brain is like undergoing this emotional stress, there are also efforts in the brain to regulate and rein in and control that distress. So the brain is active in producing and regulating the stress, which is a lot of brain effort, actually. So the conclusion is that if you're feeling connected to somebody who you feel secure with and trust, that this takes a huge load off your brain. I actually wrote a little blog post for the Menninger blog called Attach and Give Your Brain a Break. So the point of this study is that our most potent and efficient way of regulating emotional distress is to be connected with another person whom you trust.